Hello crafters, this is Jane Fires. I'm an affiliate with Fun Stamper's Journey and Spellbinders, and the card I'm going to show you today is this one right here. And some of the items that we're using on our card today is our new 6x6 Follow Your Hearts prints. It's available right now. It has 24 double-sided cardstocks. So you have some real variety. This one, of course, can be Valentine's Day, but it wouldn't have to be just Valentine's Day. And the same with this one. I mean, their backside is striped on this one, so you'd be fine there. And on this one, it's got hugs and kisses. So these are the designs that are in this particular paper pack, and it is available right now on the website. The dies that we're using today, we're using these 4 dies right here. The 3 dies that are cutting dies come out of the Heart Felt set, which has 7 dies, and then there's 7 dies also in the Heart Piercing. So we're using 3 dies to cut and 1 to pierce. And then our words today are coming out of Perfect Adam, and it's the Happy Valentine's Day down here. And again, this set can be used for Valentine's Day, but it could also be used for birthdays or any time of the year. But we are using Happy Valentine's Day. And then again, we're using our die that makes all of the different little hearts. And today what we're doing is we're not using all the little hearts, but we're using the outline of it. And what I did is I die cut it out of candy apple. So all these little hearts I saved, and we'll use a few of those today. But these hearts that come out of this particular die are really nice for shaker cards because they're small enough and they shake real nice. So that's another die we'll be using. And then our words for inside that we're using come out of Inside Out. And we're using today on the inside the ones that say, thinking of you, wishing you a day full of joy and a year filled with smiles. Then the other thing we're using today is our white liner sheets from Spellbinders. And this is double-sided, and believe me, it is sticky. So once you go to put it down, don't try pulling it up, because if you've patted it at all or even touched it in one place, it's going to stick. So we're using that today. We're also using our little dauber, and our daubers come with 4 of the little pads, and we're not using this for ink today. We're going to use it for gold leaf. And our gold leaf comes in 2 colors. It comes in gold and it comes in the silver. All right, so we're using the gold today. And then we're using the satin red candy apple sparkle ribbon. And this has a little bit of sparkle in it. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is take our base card and fold her in half and then crease it with our crease tool. Set that aside. Now I have already taken the white liner sheet and I cut it to the size I wanted it here, and I put it down. Because what I'm going to do now when I peel the top off here is I'm going to center this in the center here. Well, no, I'm going to the bottom. I'm leaving that little part showing, and the reason I am is because my ribbon's going to go up here. So I'm going to put this in here, and when I go to put it down, obviously I've got to make sure that I have it where I want it. So now what I have to do is peel my backing up here. And because that is so sticky, I try to use my bloom tool. Then I'm going to take my die full of hearts and put it at the bottom and then just tap it up. Then I can lay my piece on top that's not going to stick and make sure I have it sealed down well. I'm going to leave that lay right there for right now. Then I'm going to take my gold. And when you work with your gold or your silver leafing, you do not want air conditioning on, because it's so thin it will blow away. So what I do is I just take some of this, open it up, and lay it down. And I'm just tapping it down with my finger, because you'll see in just a minute how I'm going to get it to really go down well. But I do want all of my white liner covered up. I think that looks pretty good. So now I can just shove this back in. Now I'm taking my dauber and I'm going to rub over my hearts, because what it's going to do now, it will take off anything that's not stuck to my white liner sheet. And then all these pieces here I can pick back up and put in my box and save it. So I just go over this a couple times usually, just to make sure that I have it right where I want it, and so I know it's on to stay for good. Okay, so now that's on well. So now I'm going to turn over my card, and I'm going to take my Pro shears and I'm going to trim off the rest of my hearts that I don't want on here. So there's that part done. Now what I did out of our printed paper, Follow Your Heart, I took one of the pieces and I cut it to fit. And so now I'm going to make sure this is going to fit here. It will. It's going to stick to a little bit of my double-sided tape down there, my liner. So up here I'm going to add some glue. And then I'm going to go to the top up here. And what I like about our glue is that you've got a couple minutes that you can move around, whatever. Once I do it at the bottom, however, because it is on my white liner sheet down there, it's there to stay. So I have both of those. Now I'm ready for my ribbon. Now, a lot of people say they have a hard time with ribbons. So what I am going to do with this card is something that's fairly easy. I'm going to line it up here. And remember, I have that sticky part, so it will stick down right there. And then I'm going to turn my card over, because this back side of my card is not going to show anyway, because it's going to go to my base. And I'm going to cut me just a little bit right there. And then with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our white liner tape, and I'm going to put some of our white liner tape in the middle of the ribbon on each end. And my bloom tool is how I get my backing of my tape off. And then I'm also going to put down some dots of glue. Our glue will hold with our tape. And then I'm going to bring it over on both sides and adhere it to the back. So there's that part. Now I'm going to take my other piece and I'm just making myself one single bow. Now, I have quite a tail here, so I could, if I wanted to, make a small double bow. And remember, you wrap it around two of your fingers at the length that you want it. You take your tail, put it between your fingers, come around back to the front, go under where you've got the little ribbon part over the top, and right here you just pull it tight. Slide it off your fingers, separate your bow, and I take my little beginning tail and stick it under so it's at the bottom. And now I have a double bow. And so now I'm going to point my ends. And now I'm going to attach my bow to the side of my card. I think what I'm going to do is attach this just as soon as I get my front piece on here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use some of our medium-sized foam squares. I will put full ones because this card has a lot of things on it. And when I do this, I also I'll put one on each side part way on where my ribbon is, because that will help to hold my ribbon on. Okay, then put that on the front of my card. Then on the back of my bow, I am going to take a little bit of our tape, put it on where my knot is, peel its backing off, put a dot of glue where my tape is also, and then put it over my other ribbon. And that you're going to have to hold for a minute or so. So then slide that aside and let it dry. And while it's drying, here are my other 3 hearts that I had cut out. And so I'm going to take Happy Valentine's Day and I'm going to stamp it in the middle of my little white heart, and I'm going to stamp it in black ink. On the inside, I'm going to stamp my other words in red, but I've got quite a bit of red on the outside, and I want to make sure that my Happy Valentine's Day is going to show up well. So I'm going to stamp my little Happy Valentine's Day in the center of my little white heart. And then, using my ink, I don't have all my little holes pierced. They didn't all go quite through. And so my bloom tool comes in handy for this. And it just pops them all out. And so what I'm going to do now is glue down my white one on top of my red pierced one. and then glue both of these down onto my gold mirrored cardstock. Hold that for a minute so it holds. Turn it over to the back side. And this time I'm going to take some of my medium foam squares and cut them in half. And put them on the back of my heart. Oh, my bow came off. I think that has to be held for a couple minutes. And then put my set of hearts popped up on the front of my card. And the only difference between these two are my bow. This I did a single, this I did a double. So that's the only difference. And again, not a hard card at all to make, but a very elegant card, and one that anyone would be pleased to get for Valentine's Day. On the inside of this one, I stamped, "Thinking of you, wishing you a day full of joy and a year filled with smiles." And once my bow dries over here, I will do the same thing. Now the other thing though that on this one I want to do, and I'll do the same on the other one, is I want to put just a few little hearts. And of course these are the little hearts that came out of the die that we used on the front. So I'm going to put one in each corner. So on the inside now I have some of the little hearts that came out of the die on the front of the card. So there's the card. It's not a hard card to make at all, and it's a lot of fun. You can find more information on my website blog. It is www.janies/angelhug.com. And if you need to get a hold of me, my email address is serif, S-E-R-I-F, 1 @AOL.com. Have a great and blessed day.